Welcome to the Promo Kitchen Deep Dive. It's where we take a fabulous tweet from our weekly Twitter chat and do a deep dive. We just ask a few questions for it. So this week we're really excited because we have a brand new guest, but she is a longtime promo chatter. So welcome Stacey Gluchman from Warwick Publishing, and she is the web and digital marketing manager. So welcome, Stacey.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, and you are always such a fabulous contributor. So when it was one of those like, who should we ask for this? You were an easy one.
Yay.
So the question we had this for our conversation was about hiring, because everyone knows the Great Recession, the YOLO economy, everything that's going on out there it's this big, everyone is either leaving or they're trying to hire. It's just this mix of everything. So we really wanted to go and deep dive into what do you look for in hiring? What do you look for in looking for a job and everything else? So we had the question of, questions aren't just for interviewees. Potential employees need to ask insightful questions. No matter the side of the table you're sitting on, what do you ask when you're in the interview room? Which is important. And you had a great one with boring questions, but employee longevity and what are the benefits? When I, Stacey, interviewed here, the first answer for benefits was, we get a box of meat. The interviewer was very excited about the holiday gift from Pascal. So I'm so intrigued by this, and I truly love this because it's such one of those the culture of something showing through with a box of meat, which as someone interviewed would be like, well, that sounds alarming.
Right.
Why don't you tell us more about what made you ask that question and then made them answer with that?
Yeah, you know what? By the time I'd answer that question, we were probably 20, 30 minutes into the interview. And, up to that point, her and I had built a good rapport with each other. We could tell we were getting along. We were just going over the basics here, the products that we sell. This is the website. This is the audience we deal with. She's kind of explaining the supplier distributor thing. Just through asking questions about the products, we could tell that we were working well with each other. So, after I got through all that stuff and the description of the position, what I'd be doing with the company, I went on to the benefits, and I asked that thinking, okay, 401k, health insurance, medical, all this stuff. And she skipped right over all that stuff and excitedly said, I kid you not. And she's very quiet. She's rather introverted girl. She's just like, we get a box of meats. I had to laugh because it's not what I was expecting, 401k, box of meats.
What will you take?
Right. So the funny part about that I didn't put on the tweet, because it was a bit more on the personal side and it would have been multiple tweets, is that I actually don't eat meat. So it was funny that she answered with that. So I told her, we had enough rapport built by then. I told her, I'm like, that's fun, but I don't eat meat. She's like, oh, that's okay. It's like, all right. Because I could tell, she didn't judge me for coming off like that right off the bat. So, again, building up on the rapport, I just added to it. So I was comfortable with her, and clearly she was comfortable enough with me to give that kind of a reaction to the question and be excited about it. So
that, what I really love about that is it's such a sign of the culture in that they knew the factors were being taken care of. They're like, that's the boring stuff, but I really have to tell you about how they care about you. Like this is the holiday gift. This is what we look forward to.
Well, and it's enough of, when COVID started, they kind of cut back on that just a little bit. We've gotten it here or there, but it's a regular thing. 4th of July and Christmas, they usually do this. And the Pascals, they personally hand it out. They usually form a line, and they're dressed up as Santa and as Elf. There's a picture pinned to our Twitter account of, we have Rob and Jim there, dressed up, and Phil's there with them. Phil Martin, who's our sales manager. They personally hand the meat out to the people, to all the employees. And since I don't eat meat, obviously they actually get special baskets. There are a few vegetarians and vegans in Warwick, so they get, special fruit baskets or little treats for us. So yeah, they really accommodate. Yeah. So, but it's the excitement. It's not just getting a box of meat or a basket of fruit. It's handing it out, the fact that it's personally done, and they say, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or Happy 4th of July, whatever. Thank you for all you do around here. They go forward with that. So the fact that the owners are so involved in that process. They're not just handing it out to departmental managers to just drop on an employee's desk.
Yeah, it's the personal touch. I remember with ASI, they would always do the turkey, like you'd always get a turkey at ASI. And then I think it was last year, like someone dressed up as a turkey and they hand delivered turkeys around the area.
Andrews that did that?
Yeah, or I think it was Norm Cohen. I'm going to get this wrong and someone's shouting the answer right now, but it is exactly what you said, of that personal touch of it's not just being dropped on your desk, it's someone saying, I see you, I appreciate you, like, let's go enjoy your meat or basket.
Right.
So beyond the box of meat that you get, what are other things that Warwick does to sort of retain talent and build culture within your organization?
Yeah, the whole culture thing, that's always, is always a question that comes up, whether, in the interview process or just talking to people outside of it. I've never been able to hammer down exactly how to answer the culture. Aside from, going back from the Pascals, they're very involved. Everyone's very involved. Obviously we have an open door policy. You can talk to your manager, but you can also talk to the Pascals. Rob and Jim used to have this thing, again, pre-COVID, this, 3+ years ago, they used to do this. They'd sit in the cafeteria each morning and just sit there drinking coffee, and anyone and everyone can go and talk to them, whether it's about personal stuff, about, a product idea, this equipment is malfunctioning, anything and everything. And, I remember, I have a few kids, and after I came back from maternity leave after one, I just sit there and talk with Rob and Jim about that, just personal stuff, but and they'd feedback. They wouldn't just listen to what I was saying. Rob has a son, Alex, he's our 5th generation. We just share stories. So being able to, we've all worked for someone where the owner is just completely separate from the process. We say we're 4th, 5th generation owned, but we are also 4th generation owned and operated. So they're fully involved in the process, and that truly does have the trickle down effect. The managers are also like that. So it's really that communication factor within the company.
I really love that because, so my company is a family owned and operated company as well. And I'm very conscious of sort of the us versus them mentality that can happen within the space. So I really like that they make such a point of kind of going in, and it's something like every manager can kind of hear and listen to, about sort of making yourself accessible and open. And a lot of people complain about, meetings, like pointless meetings, but it can also be like, how do you build connection with someone where you actually like and enjoy and work with them?
Right. Exactly.
That's so neat. Well, I love to hear that. And I think because so many people are struggling, like I work in awards, so it is this idea of like, well, we need to do something. And people love recognition, but they also like to be like listened to and recognized. And
well, and speaking of recognition, they do, each year we get a card for our work anniversary, and it's personally signed by the Pascals. So, and it's a small token, but it's, they're paying attention. Personally sign it. It's not just stamped or printed in there, their signatures. So they go through, we have 50, 60 employees. I don't know what we're at now. So, it's not a ton of extra work, but it's the little things. I've never had any owner involvement like this at any other place I've worked at.
That's so nice to hear. So I have one more question for you, because I find this so interesting with people, is what is your go-to question on what you find the most revealing in an interview? So either asked of you or that you ask people, because some people get very elaborate. Like my favorite one was like, it's for marketing, and he goes, if I shrink you down to the size of a dime and put you in a blender, how are you getting out? And I was like, what are you looking to get out of that question? So I'm intrigued. What's yours? What do you find the most revealing?
So, I've been with Warwick since August of 2011. So it's been a while since I've interviewed. And since I've been here, I've only interviewed 2 people. So I don't really have a go-to question, but knowing, other people who have interviewed, I don't know of anyone who has a question like that. If you were to be a fruit, what fruit would you be? Or, if you want to shrink down to a dime and throw yourself in a blender.
He told me this and I was like, See, my question that I always ask people is, what did you like about your last job? Because I always find it revealing for people, like, you can always find one thing you liked about a job. And I had one person who's like, there was a little bit of everything. And I'm like, there had to be something, like something you liked. Give me a detail.
I will say, one of the two people that I interviewed for, he just, it's the basic questions that sometimes are the best, because it depends on what the interviewee says back. He just simply asked, what's it like to work here? And of course, I go off on this family business spiel.
It's a box of meat and fruit.
It really does trickle down. And, I start going off because I have two young boys, and, if kids get sick, you have to stay home with them. And, something happens in the family, extended family, whatever, you have to be there for your family. And being that it's a family-owned business, they understand that we have families too. Rob Pascal always says, we're not just looking out for our employees, we're looking out for our employees' families too. So I kind of went off on that story with him. He's like, oh, good, because he had a young daughter at the time, and he actually had another baby when, he was working here. So it meant the world to him to hear that. So it might have been luck of the draw, because I didn't know that he had a kid at that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, even if you don't have kids, knowing that, you can take your mom, dad, aunts, uncles, whatever, it's good to know. So yeah, I really don't have a go-to question. So I wish I did, but I'm grateful that I've only had to interview twice in my entire 10 years here. So that does kind of say something.
It does. I mean, longevity is important. So I love that you found a good fit at work, and they have continued to reinforce that good decision you made.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know, just find out what your colleagues would do at a blender. So
well, I'll start the day off with that tomorrow.
Yeah, just pose it. Go find people, go, what would you do?
Yeah, maybe that should be the next promo chat topic.
I'm going to slip it in there at some point.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that. Well, perfect. Well, Stacey, thank you so much for being part of this for our conversation. And where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you can find Warwick. We're all over social media. If you go to warwickpublishing.com, you can see all of our social media icons up there. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. If you want to hunt me down, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on there. So I have a personal Twitter account, but I do not use it. So don't find me there.
It's going to be a boring one.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you. And everyone, remember to join us. We have changed our process from every week at Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern to every other week. So we've thought we were going to put a little more time into our questions and do a little more legwork for engagement. And we'd love to have feedback. So everyone join in every other week. It's the second and fourth week of the month. So we appreciate you, and thank you.